Global hunger and malnutrition remain major crises. Approximately 9% of the world's population was undernourished in 2023. Many of these people do not know where their next meal will be coming from. At least 129,000 people are expected to experience famine in African countries such as Burkina Faso, Mali, Somalia, and South Sudan. Africa is considered the poorest continent on Earth. Almost every second person living in sub-Saharan Africa lives below the poverty line. This seismic crisis has been caused by a deadly combination of factors. Conflict is still the biggest driver of hunger, with 70% of the world's hungry people living in areas affected by war and violence. The climate crisis is one of the leading causes of the steep rise in global hunger. Climate shocks destroy lives, crops, and livelihoods, and undermine people's ability to feed themselves. Hunger will spiral out of control if the world fails to take immediate climate action. The global community must not fail on its promise to end hunger and malnutrition by 2023. For these reasons, the Food Systems Research Network for Africa, or FSNet-Africa, was born to tackle these wicked challenges and translate research on sustainable food systems to impactful, real-world solutions. This project was funded under the Global Challenges Research Fund through a partnership between UK Research and Innovation and the African Research Universities Alliance. The three lead partners in the project are the University of Pretoria, the University of Leeds, and the Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources Policy Analysis Network. Hunger across the world is getting worse, with nearly 735 million people in a state of chronic hunger and another 2.4 billion people unable to afford nutritious diets. If we are to meet the United Nations goal of ending hunger by 2030, urgent and coordinated action is required. The FSNet-Africa partners have joined forces to respond to this challenge. Our early career researchers are working on research to improve the way in which we produce, process, distribute, and access food, and improve the ways in which we reuse and reduce food waste. Their ideas are the building blocks on which a more resilient and sustainable food system can be built. FSNet-Africa encourages and supports African researchers, especially female researchers, to think in novel ways so that food systems can be strengthened.
I'm really excited about the signs of impact that we are starting to see since the project has started. For the last 2 years, FSNet-Africa Fellows, with support from their mentors and the UP hosts, have been implementing research projects focused on the African food system for transformation. These projects have been designed and implemented in collaboration with all the food system stakeholders, including farmers, agribusiness companies, and policymakers. What we have managed to achieve in this short time is to strengthen the networks of our fellows within their institutions across the continent and between African partner institutions and our partner in the UK, the University of Leeds.
Our aim is to conduct research that has real-world impact in ways that can transform the food systems on the African continent. So FSNet-Africa has been really helpful in strengthening the partnerships between the University of Leeds, Pretoria and Fanapan. It's a really good example of a network bringing researchers and practitioners together to address transformation of the food system in Africa. And our early success has really been in building that partnership, connecting our researchers, and thinking about how we address those grand challenges.
Our point of departure as FANAPAN is that there is a disconnect between science, policy and practice. So as FANAPAN, the FSNet-Africa project ticks all the boxes. FANAPAN is about policy research analysis, capacity strengthening for both individuals, institutions, and also police advocacy through two things: convening of platforms and production of police-related knowledge products. So the 20 early career researchers that are engaged through FSNet-Africa, we are, as FANAPAN, helping them to make sure that their research work is connected with stakeholders. We are making sure that their research work is going to be building on making sure that the policy influencing is based on research-based evidence.
To make a difference in communities, to improve our policies, to improve the extension support services so that we can realize the much needed change or develop solutions that will better the lives of all these countries.
FSNet-Africa recruited 20 early career researchers, 80% of whom were female, to conduct food systems research to tackle these challenges. The complexity of food systems requires a layered approach to research. This model helps by bringing together stakeholders from different sectors and disciplines. The 2-year fellowships created structured opportunities for fellows at our 10 academic partner institutions to work with senior academics from Africa and leading researchers from the University of Leeds and the University of York in the UK. Each fellow was carefully matched with 2 mentors, one from the University of Leeds and one from an African institution, to form research triads. Each triad was carefully put together to ensure it forms an interdisciplinary research team to work together on a research project related to African food systems. Each triad was linked to a researcher at the University of Pretoria who has similar research interests to help build their networks within their field. Through the extensive network of our partner FANAPAN, triads were linked to in-country stakeholders in the food system who could support the design and implementation of their research.
Well, for the University of Leeds, it's a perfect alignment of our strategic plan for the next 10 years to build stronger research and education partnerships across the Global South. In particular, those focused at reducing inequalities that are suffered across a whole range of systems. We've got a particular emphasis on how climate is influencing the food system and bringing that to the network of universities such that it's not just bilaterals, but it's a stronger partnership across the 10 universities, but also with the impact stakeholder champions in each country through FANRAPAN, that we're actively working on impacts on the food system in those 6 countries. And it brings us an opportunity to also develop new training resources. So at this stage, it's trained the 20 FSNet fellows, but we're also developing teaching resources, digital education resources that will be of wider use, both for students in Leeds to give them intercultural and international perspectives, but also to work with the institutions across Africa to help them with the development of new learning resources into the future.
The FSNet-Africa Fellowship aimed to expand our fellows' research networks within Africa and also internationally. Because of the interdisciplinary nature of their research work, fellows were able to network across disciplines and institutions.
It's really fantastic to have the honor of being a participant in the FSNet-Africa program. My role is as one of the supervisors of the postdoctoral fellows. The fellow that I work with is Dr. Kadege Fu. Kadege's project is fascinating. He is an engineer who is developing technology to help farmers in Africa precisely add the right amount of fertilizer to their fields. He's doing this by using aerial drone technology to fly over farms, which then maps crops and soil conditions. And then he is developing a phone app that takes that imaging information from the flyover and determines for the farmer precisely how much fertilizer to add in each part of their fields. This has a lot of advantages. First of all, by being more precise by the amount of fertilizer that's added. And it changes with different parts of the field because the soils, crops are not always growing the same across a farm. If he's giving more precise instructions, the farmer's spending less money. He's not wasting money on fertilizer that isn't needed. The crops are getting just the right amount to maximize their food production, their yields, and the income for the farmer. And the other thing is you don't want too much fertilizer being applied to the fields because that which doesn't go into the plants and is used in agriculture washes off into groundwater, into streams. It can deteriorate drinking water quality and cause other environmental pollution. So I think this is a fantastic technological advance. It's not easy to do. You have to combine several different areas of technology to make this work. And in order to build an effective team around Kadeghe, he works not only with me, but with 2 other supervisors. We make a team of 3. My colleagues are Professor Lisa Korsten at the University of Pretoria in South Africa and Professor Ozden Jakonya at University of Western Cape in South Africa. I'm the European partner and then 2 African partners. Kadeghe doesn't need our supervision. He's a brilliant researcher in his own right. However, it's really useful to get a view of this work from 3 different perspectives in addition to that Kadeghe brings also with the farmers and other partners that he has with him on the project. I'm incredibly honored to be part of the FSNet-Africa program. It's one of the best experiences I've had in my entire professional career.
Hi, my name is Chewen Konde and I'm from the University of Zambia in the School of Agricultural Sciences, working in the Department of Agricultural Economics, where I'm actually the head of department. I'm part of the Food Systems Network for Africa project, where I'm a mentor and mentoring one of scholars or research fellows from the University of Dar es Salaam. Her name is Dr. Innocency John. We are working on a research that is focusing on orphan crops or indigenous crops that and their economic potential for these crops, specifically focusing on Tanzania and looking at a number of objectives, among them conducting a value chain analysis of these particular crops. What I've learned from this experience is that we are working in a triad where we have a colleague from the University of Pretoria. Her name is Dr. Coletta Kandizanwa, and then we also have another professor from the University of Leeds, Dr. Diane Holt. This experience has been great because, first of all, we have a fellow who is very meticulous and hardworking. Innocency, she's really been quite involved in this and doing a lot of good work in terms of preparing the protocols for the research and going through the whole process of collecting data. And then working with other experienced researchers has also been a very enriching experience for me and worth being part of.
How I got involved with FSNet-Africa is actually quite an interesting story. Since my degrees are in mathematical statistics with an application in natural hazards, hence the geology department. So I was invited to join as a mentor, and I thought, well, what can I contribute to a food system network? And I expressed my opinions as such, and they said, no, just join, have a look and see what happens. So I joined as a UP host, and I'm very glad that I did take this opportunity to join this wonderful initiative. What I really enjoyed about FSNet-Africa is the time they took to develop researchers. They really spend a lot of time working through the different processes of thinking out, writing a project proposal, creating budgets, talking to industry people, and how to eventually build up a very well-rounded product that you can put out towards industry and to decision makers in government. So, for future people interested in joining FSNet-Africa, really this is an experience. The care that all the researchers and organizers put within this project is truly something that any early career researcher can benefit from.
I've been involved in FSNet-Africa as a research mentor to Dr. Nana Kwapong from the University of Ghana. Nana's been leading a really exciting piece of research using participatory video to document farmers' experiences of agricultural innovation in the Upper West region of Ghana. Along with Professor Jane Ambuko from the University of Nairobi, Our triad discussions have served to shift and shape the focus of this research away from a more conventional study of agricultural extension and technology adoption, and towards a more critical and creative exploration of local and social agricultural innovation processes. I think the work really helps to unpick some of the assumptions about technology transfer that are ingrained in agricultural development. It's been fun to work with Nana in experimenting with novel research methods and exploring new ways of approaching her research on agricultural extension and information services. FSNet-Africa has been great for expanding the horizons of the fellows and the mentors involved in the programme, and it's really helped to build new relationships and networks across disciplines and across countries. I hope that Nana's fellowship will be a foundation for continued collaboration and for doing more work in the future across the FSNet community that will influence agricultural research for development in Africa.
Core to FSNet-Africa are our research fellows. So we have research fellows based across 9 institutions in 6 countries on the African continent, all doing research related to food systems and food systems transformation. So within FSNet-Africa, what we're doing is building their capacity, providing mentorship and training, and funding for them to undertake their research. So we're really building the new future research leaders on the continent.
The fellowship has provided me with funding that has enabled me to do my research on indigenous crops and provided me with skills that have enabled me to actually seek for additional funding that has enabled me to look at the nutritional value of indigenous crops. So with FSNet, my research project does not end here. I will continue exploring indigenous crops in Tanzania, looking at their nutritional benefits. The fellowship started when I was expecting my 3rd child. It was a challenge for me, trying to figure out how am I going to combine motherhood and my research project. Through the fellowship, FSNet project provides us opportunities to actually be able to carry on doing our research while at the same time being the mother that we are needed to be back at home. So with the fellowship, I've been able to continue doing my research and even attend several events. The highlight of my fellowship has been when I was given an opportunity in 2022 where I had the opportunity to attend the World Food Prize event in Iowa. This was a great opportunity for me to actually be able to attend so many presentations, learn so much, network with so many people, and also witness the honoring of the 2022 laureate and Dr. Cynthia Rosenzweig. In the fellowship, we did a lot of stakeholder engagements. Through the stakeholder training that I was given at the fellowship, I used my stakeholder notes to actually teach my sister for an interview where she was going for a stakeholder job, and she did get the job. So through the FSNet project, I have been able to use so many of the notes and the trainings that we have been provided to actually be able to teach my students in class, to carry on my research, and I'm now a pioneer in so many areas, including ethics, how to carry on research and paying attention to the research ethics.
My FSNet-Africa research project focuses on understanding the knowledge, practices, and perceptions of moringa producers, animal feed manufacturers, and broiler chicken farmers regarding the use of moringa as a feed additive. This research will help uncover and document some of the limitations to the use of Moringa oleifera and help inform South African policymakers on interventions to increase awareness and use of this plant. Being part of the FSNet-Africa Fellowship has boosted my confidence in engaging various stakeholders and has also given me understanding of why we need a systems approach when dealing with issues affecting our food systems. The FSNet-Africa project has also improved my networking skills and given me international exposure.
My research aims to create a more circular and an efficient food system by incorporating fruit waste into the diet of small ruminants such as sheep and goats, thereby maximizing resource utilization and minimizing waste. The FSNet-Africa project has been a transformative journey, nurturing my personal and professional growth through invaluable knowledge and experiences. The comprehensive training provided by the fellowship has strengthened my capacity as a researcher, a leader, and an advocate for sustainable food systems in Africa. Furthermore, the opportunity to collaborate with diverse researchers, experts, and stakeholders have expanded my outlook, allowing me to tackle challenges with a broader perspective and a more holistic approach. One of the most fulfilling aspects of the fellowship has been the close collaboration with local farmers. Their indigenous knowledge and skills have been pivotal in shaping my research, ensuring that it can be practically applied and fostering tailored sustainable solutions to address their specific needs. Now, this collaboration has not only enhanced the relevance and the impact of my research, but it has also strengthened the bond between research and the local farming communities.
So throughout the program itself, I have been looking at justification for making a decision, be it for a producer or an investor. And this is a decision that these players make in terms of investing in climate smart agriculture interventions. I've learned quite a few things, not only technical issues to do with conducting research, but networking, communicating, that in everything else that you do, you cannot work alone. I've learned how to work with other researchers in different disciplines. So it was an interdisciplinary team that I was working in, and the work that I was focusing on, it needed a reflection from different angles, not only from myself as a business economist, but I needed also other players, animal scientists. We needed others to reflect on the behavioral aspects. And this is what, for me, I feel has been really beneficial throughout this journey. It has been worthwhile time spent in this, and I would really encourage anybody else who would be given such an opportunity to take it up.
So I've been part of the FSNet Fellow, and I've been working around food systems, looking at how we can empower local platforms to govern food systems. The issue of governing food system by local platforms is so key, especially at the time when we are facing complex issues related to food availability on the African continent. We are looking at issues to do with food security, which are intertwined with environmental issues, social issues such as gender, and at the same time economic problems in these countries. So making food challenges very, very complex. During the process of participating in the FSNet, I've learned quite a lot. I understood the research process, but now I've learned how to network with different actors. For example, looking at how we can conduct transdisciplinary research, which involve biophysics, the social people are looking at economics, and social are looking at politics, and this is really helpful. And also it has empowered me with skills for developing research proposals. I'm sure I'll be able to contribute to my university in terms of winning grants and contribute to resource mobilization.
FSNet-Africa Fellows have shared feedback on how the training they have participated in has assisted and enabled them to contribute to grant writing. They have also used their training to impact knowledge to others and engage in stakeholders successfully.
The FSNet-Africa project has not only strengthened capacities, but also changed the way in which we approach collaborative research.
This idea of a team built around the work of each fellow, to me, is a fantastic idea. It gives that slight difference of perspective that helps make sure that any project risks are minimized, that the ideas that CADEGA is developing and implementing, that we can give any advice that might potentially maximize the value of the work. But it also builds a fascinating collaboration. We've all become really close friends. Kadeghe, as an early to mid-career scientist, will be able to draw on the relationships with the supervisors for the rest of his career, and also the relationships that he builds with the other FSNet fellows for the rest of his career. It's a brilliant professional network that's being developed. But it's not only that. The professors who are working together as supervisors with Kadeghe, we also become a small network. We start to develop projects between our own universities that have been stimulated by us working together with Kadeghe. So it grows and multiplies, and it builds new friendships and professional relationships that expand the value of FSNet Africa and that spawn new projects that can grow beyond the FSNet Africa project on its own. I think this is a fantastic way to do research. I think it's a fantastic model. The program overall is led by the University of Pretoria with a number of African partners, and then with the University of Leeds as a European partner. I think this is a new way of working on global projects that is really productive. I love the idea of having African partners offering thought and action leadership and anchoring the project and leading the planning and development of the ideas, and then bringing in a global partner such as University of Leeds on invitation when there's value that can be added to the project developed within Africa. It's a model of African leadership that I think is really successful. I think the FSNet Africa program takes that and multiplies it across all the fellows. I think this capability altogether is really transformative, not only for the communities, for the businesses, and the government agencies that draw benefit from the explicit projects of the fellows, but also as a model for global leadership and how research is to be done, and especially showcasing the brilliance of African science and technology on a global stage.
We wanted to then create sustainable projects, right? So our conversation then emanated and it sparked SGD 8, where we wanted to then do job creation as well, and 5, and work with women for gender equality, women and youth in that specific community, and empower them to be able to be a bigger part of the moringa production and also in the broiler. So that conversation that we had actually sparked that to say, okay, we as Le Facon, we can now look at how we create a sustainable project and how are we going to go about doing it. And we identified that we're going to do it with the farmers through the feeder farmer scheme that are around in the rural village area of Bosblas.
So what Dr. Gao has found out from the research, one of the goals of the I'll take one of the recommendations. She stressed that there's need to incorporate issues of pollinators in our strategic plans or even in policy. So I was trying to assess whether, for example, whether agriculture policy has incorporated issues of pollinators, but I noticed that these issues are not there. They only concentrate on management of pests. So as one way of trying to incorporate this finding, and since it's also one of the objectives of the NBSAP, which is to improve capacity and even collaboration with other stakeholders, I think this will be our main focus. We'll try to work with other stakeholders like researchers so that policy makers are well informed about pollinators. Thank you.
We engaged the FSNet-Africa Youth Network to participate in an art and video competition where they were invited to submit a video or artwork to demonstrate their own call to action in relation to climate change and sustainability. FSNet Africa has been involved in a variety of community outreach activities to educate and raise awareness around food systems research. The project also encouraged the next generation to become involved in thinking about and advocating for sustainable solutions to food and nutrition security issues and climate crises.
Food is really important and it gives us energy. We shouldn't waste food because without food we won't have energy to work.
What causes climate change? Well, it's been us humans the whole time.
How can we save our environment? First of all, do not cut off trees because we need fresh air.
Trees are one of the biggest sources to our lives. Trees help us take out carbon dioxide and bring in the oxygen we breathe. And if we don't take care of these trees, things are not gonna go well, because we need trees so much.
The birds live on the trees, and the birds might die if you're cutting and you don't see properly.
Imagine how much more we can do if we work together.
So we should start now, not later, not tomorrow, now.
FSNet-Africa is more than a project. It is a culture that has changed the way in which we look at research, the way in which we do research, and how we share our knowledge and the work that we do. We see this network as the launchpad for a bigger movement to change research culture across the African continent. We want to take hands across different disciplines and with different stakeholders to expand this research culture globally.
I agree then yeah bonga isoko de mena dewa wultia asona tina pa
wona ndo bana yere changwa bonka yere piala ka bata yo wulando ba teka tini de tigati fo wa yire jen asona tina we ya barka ale kan wa sur nya sene na wanyana